What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my next NBA draft scouting report. Excuse me, sorry my voice is gone. But today I will be doing Furkan Korkmaz. He is a 6'7", 185-pound shooting guard out of Turkey. He's played for Anadolu Efes and Anadolu Efes. If I got that wrong, then sorry. And then he is from Bakirköy, Turkey. I think I said that one right. He also has a 6'8" wingspan, and he's 19 years old. I think I already said he's 19 years old, though. But anyway, get into some of his strengths. First one, he's got good size for a shooting guard. So it's 6'7". That's beyond preferred size for a shooting guard. That's like more wing, small forward type size. So that helps him multiple things. One is getting over defenders. Even if a team has a person at the 3 spot defending him, he can still get over them. And he's a good facilitator, so that helps him see over the defense. Second strength is he's a great shooter. I don't know. I think he's more. I think you can expect this guy to be a 46 to 48% shooter coming into the league. I mean, he's got a clean shot. He's a good catch and jump shooter. He can shoot in transition, and he can also create his own shots. That's probably the strongest point of his game. Again, that's pretty much what you know you're getting when you pick Korkmaz in the draft. So third strength is he's a good facilitator. I mentioned that with the first strength. So he's not, again, he's a good shooter. He's not the best driver. I'll get to that later. But he's a good passer. Like I said, he can see over the defense with his size. He's got good vision on the court. He's been playing for a while. I believe he's been playing either junior or professional ball over in Turkey for about 6 to 7 years now. And he's only 19 years old. So I don't know if his birthday's in June or July. I know either one, he'll be 20 by the time the season rolls around, but still a pretty young dude. And then fourth strength is his athleticism. So again, he's pretty fluid for his size. For a 6'7" shooting guard, you wouldn't expect him to be as fluid and athletic as he is. He doesn't have the best vertical, but he's got a decent wingspan. He's pretty quick. Like, the speed's there. Agility is something that I think will come around also. Hand-eye coordination is also there. You can see that. He does have rather quick hands. So, get into some of his weaknesses. Strengths went by kind of fast. But anyway, first one, he's not the best defender. There's a few things you can break down with this one. For one, footwork isn't very good. He has a little bit of trouble with lateral quickness. He turns his hips a little bit too quick. His overall positioning's not great, and he's a little bit hunched over. Now, he obviously has the size to defend most people at the 2 in the NBA. And like I said, he's a pretty athletic guy. He's fast. He just needs to get the footwork down. He has potential on defense. The upside is there, but it needs to be there a little bit more consistently. Off-ball awareness isn't great. It seems like sometimes he's present on defense, sometimes he's not. You just don't want him to turn into that James Harden type of player in the NBA. I mention him a lot, but he's kind of the prime example of not playing defense at the 2 spot. So second weakness is his transition to an NBA offense. This is one of the most commonly talked about things with Korkmaz. I don't know why this is a bigger thing whenever players are transitioning from overseas to playing over in the U.S. Some people just think that it won't work out. Now, I don't think it's as big a deal as a lot of people think it is, because people think since he's playing weaker competition over in Turkey that he might end up having to draw back on his dribbling a little bit. He's not the best dribbler, or draw back on the amount of time he's touching the ball, and might become more of a one-dimensional shooter, maybe more of a Doug McDermott, just Mike Dunleavy type. And again, that's not desirable as a lottery pick. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. I think he'll be fine, but it is a red flag that teams have to be aware of in preparing him for the NBA and helping him develop through his first few years in the league. So the third weakness is his effort comes and goes. So this translates into multiple parts of his game. First one is he's not a good slasher, and sometimes it just seems like the motor isn't there. Like I said, he's pretty fast. It seems like the potential is there to be a good driver, but I don't think he's a consistent enough dribbler. And I think the motor's got to be a little bit more consistent. It's got to be going 100% all the time. And I think if that comes along, it's going to be a pretty big difference on both ends of the court for him. Now, also, like I said, it impacts his off-ball awareness and his just overall defensive effort sometimes. Watching his highlights, it seems like he's just, like I said, present sometimes and just sometimes is just hungry to get to the offensive end of the floor. Now, that's fine, but you should be putting the effort on defense to want to get to the offensive end of the court. It's, again, two-way street, and I think it's something that he will learn if he gets put in the right situation in the NBA. All right, so one more thing I do want to mention. It's probably should have put it under strengths, but it's just his overall intangibles. Like I said, he's been playing for a while for pro and junior ball over in Turkey, and I think that's going to make his transition to the NBA pretty easy. Turkey, the Turkish basketball system is normally one of the higher level basketball systems around the world, so he should be developed well before he comes back over to the U.S. and starts his career in the NBA. All right, so get into his comparisons, projections in the NBA, where I think he's going to go in the draft. So talking about comparisons, I think there's two big ones, two obvious ones for him. First one is Mario Hezonja for the Orlando Magic. Hezonja was last year's Korkmaz, in my opinion, the guy who had the potential to be a great scorer in the NBA. And it's been a little bit of a slow transition for Hezonja, but still has hope in the NBA, still could be a solid player for years to come. And I think the second one is the Utah Jazz's shooting guard / small forward, Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward's a guy that it took a couple years, but he's a big name in the NBA now. He's the star of the Jazz, I would say, either him or Rudy Gobert. But to me, he's the best scorer on a Jazz team that's actually been improving over the last couple of years. Barely missed a playoff spot this year. So when you're talking about NBA projections, I think this depends on how many minutes he gets in the rotation. I mean, Korkmaz is a big-time scorer. Like, he's a guy that can average at his peak probably 18 to 20 points per game if he develops right. Now, if he's put on a team that's a little bit stacked in the middle or late lottery, middle of the first round, somewhere in that spot, then I think you're looking at probably 10 to 12 points per game his rookie year, and then steadily making his way up to around 15 by his sophomore or third year in the NBA. So where I think he's going to go in this year's draft is probably, I've always had him around the late lottery spot. Couple fits that I think would be really good. One is the Phoenix Suns add a little bit of depth. I don't think he'd play the 2 there. I think he'd get a lot of minutes at the 3. But the Suns need a lot of help at small forward. Obviously, Devin Booker is really, I think, the face of their franchise at this point. Now, the other spot that I think he would fit in okay at is the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the Bucks are decently set at the 2 with Chris Middleton, but he can play at the 1 at times. And I think the Bucks need to spread out a little bit with where they're playing it with some of their better players. Chris Middleton splits between he's played at the 1 a little bit, but he also plays at the 2 and the 3 spots are his most common. And then Antetokounmpo is more of a small forward type too. But I think that Milwaukee needs a shooting guard that can be a true shooting guard and a true scorer, something that I don't think they have. And the last fit that I think would work out well for him is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I know the Grizz probably don't pick, or I think it's until around like spot 15 to 17. But my thing with the Grizzlies is Tony Allen is obviously not a big-time scorer. They need a new direction to go in. I do respect what they've been able to do with that core they have of Mike Conley, Zach Randolph, and Marc Gasol. But they need a scorer. They need a shooting guard that's a little bit younger. They need a new direction to go in, and a little bit of help on offense definitely wouldn't hurt. All right, so that pretty much does it. I will be coming back probably either later today or early tomorrow with my Denzel Valentine scouting report. If you have not seen any of the previous scouting reports, I'll put the link to the entire playlist in the description below. I believe this is like the 16th or 17th one. So, getting through a decent list of names now. Last one I did was Skal Labissiere. If you want to check that one out, one of the more interesting prospects in this draft, that link will be in the outro. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. A little bit of background information about Skal. He is a 6'11", 225-pound freshman out of Kentucky. He can play at the 4 or the 5. Pretty sure he was predominantly power forward, and he has a 7'2" wingspan. So get into some of his strengths. So first one is